Welcome back to Once Upon a Snooze Fest. If you're enjoying the show, please follow us so you won't miss an episode. Hi there, I'm Nigel, your host. Tonight we'll embark on our cozy journey to sleep. So get cozy and find a comfy spot to drift off to sleep. First, a message from our sponsors. Today's story is about a dog and his best friend. This is nature's Solace. Thomas was a man who found solace in the simple pleasures of life. He was in his late 30s, with a rugged charm that came from spending countless hours outdoors. His deep brown eyes held a calm, reflective gaze, often taking in the beauty of the world around him. Thomas had always been drawn to nature, finding comfort in the rustling leaves, the chorus of birds, and the gentle breeze that whispered through the trees. Thomas was never alone on his ventures into the wilderness. His loyal companion, Hunter, was always by his side. Hunter was a golden retriever with a coat that gleamed like autumn leaves kissed by the sun. His boundless energy and joyful spirit were infectious, bringing a smile to Thomas's face even on the gloomiest of days. Hunter had an unquenchable curiosity, always eager to explore every nook and cranny, sniffing out new adventures with an enthusiasm that seemed limitless. Thomas and Hunter shared a bond that was as deep as the forest they so often wandered through. They understood each other in a way that words could never convey. Thomas's love for nature was mirrored in Hunter's playful antics, whether bounding through fields, splashing in streams, or simply lying under the canopy of trees. Hunter found joy in every moment. Thomas valued the serenity that came from his connection to the natural world. He was a man of few words, preferring the quiet companionship of the woods over the hustle and bustle of city life. In Hunter, he found a friend who needed no conversation to communicate their mutual appreciation for the great outdoors. This unspoken understanding forged a partnership that was both simple and profound. Each morning, as the sun's first rays filtered through the trees, Thomas and Hunter would set out on their daily walk. It was a cherished routine, a time for reflection, and an opportunity to bask in the tranquility of the world around them. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the day's worries seemed to melt away, leaving only the peace that came from being at one with nature and each other. Hunter's playful spirit was a perfect counterbalance to Thomas's contemplative nature. Together, they moved through life with an easy grace, finding fulfillment in the moments that others might overlook. Their walks were more than just exercise. They were a testament to the beauty of companionship and the unspoken bond between a man and his dog. Thomas and Hunter set out from the little cottage nestled at the edge of the woods, their journey beginning as it always did. The morning air was crisp, a gentle chill weaving through the foliage, promising a day of communion with nature. Thomas closed the wooden gate behind them and glanced down at his loyal companion. Hunter's eyes sparkled with excitement, his tail wagging in anticipation of the adventures that lay ahead. Every morning was the same, yet uniquely special. Thomas cherished these moments of quiet routine, a comforting rhythm that framed their days. The pair walked side by side along the familiar path, the leaves beneath their feet crunching softly. The sun had just started its ascent, casting a cool, amber light that danced through the branches. The forest greeted them with an air of tranquility, as if welcoming two old friends back into its embrace. Hunter bounded ahead, sniffing the air and searching the ground for new scents. His energy was palpable, a ball of fur and boundless curiosity. Thomas watched him fondly, admiring the infectious joy Hunter found in the simplest things. The trail meandered deeper into the forest, winding past ancient oaks and sprightly birches. Each step brought Thomas a sense of peace, a break from the hustle of daily life. His breath synchronized with the rustling leaves and the distant call of a morning dove, merging with the natural world around him. They followed the trail to a small clearing, a favorite spot for both. The grass here was damp with morning dew, shimmering like a carpet of diamonds. Thomas paused, taking in the serene beauty that surrounded them. This was more than just a walk. It was a ritual of connection, a reset button that brought calm and clarity. Hunter was in his element, nose to the ground, tracking invisible trails left by the woodland creatures. Sprinting back to Thomas after each wild chase, Hunter's enthusiasm never waned, his spirit untouched by the mundanity of routine. In every blade of grass, every flutter of a leaf, Hunter saw potential adventure. Taking a deep breath, Thomas felt the weight of his worldly concerns lift, carried away on the fresh, pine-scented breeze. These walks were his sanctuary, a place where he could simply be, without the pressures and demands that waited outside the forest's edge. Hunter's presence made the experience even richer, a shared journey between man and his unwavering companion. As they continued their stroll, the path grew narrower, guiding them deeper into the heart of the woods. Each step further from civilization and deeper into nature felt more liberating. The forest was alive with the whispers of the wind and the chorus of birds, a symphony that underscored their peaceful trek. Thomas knew that more than a routine, these walks were a necessity for both him and Hunter. They grounded him, reminding him of the simple joys and the inherent beauty in the natural cycle of life. More than that, they strengthened the bond between him and Hunter, a relationship built on trust, loyalty, and mutual indulgence in the splendors of the world around them. And so, Thomas and Hunter ambled on, lost in the endless charm of their forest sanctuary, embracing each step as a new page in their shared story. The path ahead of Thomas and Hunter meandered through the woods, a serenade of nature's finest symphony, woven together by the rustling leaves, the chirping of birds, and the gentle whisper of the wind. The woods were a tapestry of verdant hues and rich earth tones, where life throbbed quietly in the background, a stark contrast to the bustle of the city. The trees stood tall and silent, like ancient sentinels, their trunks a maze of intricate bark patterns, each telling a story of resilience and time. Thomas always marveled at this vast expanse of green, where the sunlight filtered through the canopy, casting playful shadows on the forest floor. The slanting rays of the morning sun bathed the woods in a soft golden glow, illuminating the delicate dance of dust particles suspended in the air. The leaves, still glistening with the morning dew, shimmered like a million tiny jewels, adding a touch of ethereal beauty to the scene. As they walked, Hunter's eager nose was constantly at work, sniffing around fallen branches, patches of moss, and the occasional mushroom peeking out from the undergrowth. Thomas watched his dog with a smile, his appreciation for these woods mirrored in Hunter's boundless energy. Every now and then, the tranquil silence would be punctuated by the distant call of a bird or the chattering of squirrels, providing a gentle reminder that this was a world brimming with life. The trail they followed was blanketed with a soft carpet of leaves, their autumnal hues a striking contrast to the green overhead. The crunching sound underfoot was a soothing melody that only added to the sense of peace that enveloped them. Here and there, wildflowers in purples, yellows, and whites added vibrant splashes of colour to the palette, swaying gently with the breeze, as if waving to the passing duo. Every corner they turned unveiled a new facet of the wood's beauty. The trees varied in kind, majestic oaks, slender birches, and stately pines, each one adding to the rich diversity of the landscape. The air was filled with the rich, earthy scent of dampened soil and decaying foliage, a fragrance that Thomas found deeply comforting, grounding him to the present moment. Thomas and Hunter moved in harmony with the forest, their footsteps in sync with the heartbeat of nature. As they continued, the path led them to a small clearing, a serene oasis bathed in light. Here, the sunlight was more direct, bringing out the vivid greens of the grass and the blues of the sky, a striking backdrop for the gnarled ancient tree that stood at its center. The tree's sprawling branches created an intricate latticework of shadows, a dance of light and dark on the forest floor. Hunter bounded ahead, circling the tree with joyous barks, while Thomas allowed himself a moment to revel in the sheer beauty and tranquility of the scene. The forest was alive with the sounds of creatures unseen. Beneath the thick canopy, the symphony of rustling leaves was accompanied by the steady trickle of a stream nearby, the water whispering a melody of its own as it wound its way over smooth stones. Thomas often found himself pausing to listen, closing his eyes to take in the full spectrum of this auditory tapestry, feeling the calm wash over him. Occasionally, a ray of sunlight would find its way through the dense leaf cover, spotlighting a patch of vibrant green moss or the delicate petals of a woodland flower. Thomas would point these out to Hunter, who would respond with a wag of his tail and an inquisitive sniff. These small moments of shared wonder between man and dog brought a profound sense of connection to the natural world around them. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the path narrowed and the trees grew denser, their branches intertwining overhead to form a natural archway. The air was cooler here, carrying the crisp scent of pine needles and the faint musk of forest creatures. It was a place that spoke of mystery and adventure, yet also of refuge and solace. Thomas felt a deep sense of gratitude in these moments, aware of how fortunate he was to experience such untouched beauty, to walk amidst nature's splendor with his loyal companion. This walk was not just a routine for him, it was a sacred ritual, a return to simplicity, a way to reconnect with the earth and himself. Hunter's merry antics continued unabated. He frolicked through the underbrush, his senses alive with the myriad smells and sounds. His enthusiasm unbridled. Thomas chuckled, feeling a warm glow in his chest. In the dance of light and shadows, the kaleidoscope of colors, the symphony of sounds and scents, the woods revealed their wondrous beauty to Thomas and Hunter, making each step a celebration of life itself. Hunter bounded ahead with an excitement that brought a smile to Thomas's face. The forest, dense with life and the fresh scent of pine, seemed to be Hunter's personal playground. The leaves crunched under his paws as he darted from one intriguing smell to another, his tail a whirlwind of energy. Thomas watched as Hunter paused by a moss-covered log, nose twitching and ears perked. He sniffed deeply, investigating the alluring scent left by a nocturnal visitor. Perhaps it was a raccoon or a rabbit that had crossed this path during the night. With a decisive snort, Hunter moved on, eager to discover the next adventure. Further down the trail, the dog spotted a flutter of wings as a family of birds took flight from a bush. With a burst of speed, Hunter charged towards the bush, stopping just short of the foliage as the birds escaped into the high branches of an old oak tree. He barked once, not in frustration, but in a joyful acknowledgement of the vibrant life around him. The forest was alive, and Hunter was a part of its pulse. His nose never rested. He poked his snout into piles of leaves, digging with fervor as if uncovering buried treasure. An earthworm or the occasional beetle would wriggle out, prompting Hunter to step back and observe with a mix of curiosity and satisfaction. The little creatures were of no threat or serious interest, but they represented the endless mystery of the woods. Thomas saw the pure pleasure in Hunter's eyes when he found a stick lying on the ground. The dog grabbed hold of it, chewing on the rough bark for a moment before proudly marching with it clamped in his jaws. Hunter then dropped the stick at Thomas's feet, looking up with earnest eyes that practically begged for a game of fetch. Obligingly, Thomas tossed the stick into the trees. With a burst of speed, his loyal companion chased after it, leaping over roots and small rocks with the grace of an acrobat. He returned with the stick, panting but ecstatic, ready to do it all over again. Every once in a while, Hunter would stop in his tracks, his head snapping to the side as he heard the rustle of a small animal in the underbrush or the distant call of another dog. For a moment, he was perfectly still, a statue of alertness, before curiosity inevitably drew him back into motion. His enthusiasm was contagious, a constant reminder to Thomas of the unadulterated joy of being present in the moment. The morning continued, with Hunter immersed in his discoveries. At one point, he found a puddle left by a recent rain shower. Without hesitation, he jumped in, sending water splashing in all directions. Muddy paws and a wet belly did nothing to dampen his spirits. Instead, the simple act of splashing around seemed to fill Hunter with boundless joy. He shook off the excess water, droplets shimmering in the air like tiny diamonds in the filtered sunlight. As they walked, Hunter made sure to mark his territory here and there, claiming small parts of the forest as his own. It was a ritual Thomas had come to expect, a sign of Hunter's confident presence in the world. The dog was not just a visitor. He belonged in this wild, untamed place. Through his antics, Hunter revealed his zest for life, his boundless curiosity, and his innate connection to nature. Thomas felt a deep sense of contentment watching Hunter, knowing that these simple pleasures were what truly mattered. Each sniff, each chase, each splash was a testament to the pure, unfiltered joy of living in the moment. And in that realization, Thomas found a quiet happiness, grateful for the constant companionship of his enthusiastic friend. As Thomas walked leisurely along the forest path, he couldn't help but smile as he watched Hunter dart around with boundless energy. Each swish of Hunter's tail and every joyful leap over fallen branches made Thomas's heart swell with a deep sense of contentment. Hunter had always been a bundle of joy, an endless source of amusement and companionship. Thomas's thoughts wandered back to the day he first brought Hunter home, a day that now felt like it was a part of some distant, dreamlike past. Hunter was just a small, scrappy pup then, but even on that very first day, his playful spirit was unmistakable. Over the years, their bond had solidified into something steadfast and comforting, an anchor in Thomas's life. Each walk through these woods, familiar yet ever-changing with the seasons, served as a cherished ritual that offered a respite from the bustling world. As Hunter chased after an imaginary foe, Thomas reflected on all the walks they had taken together. He remembered frosty mornings when the ground was blanketed in snow, the air crisp and clean, with every breath visible as a tiny puff of vapor. Hunter would burrow his nose into the snow, emerging with a dusting of white on his muzzle, his eyes sparkling with excitement. There were also those vibrant autumn walks, where the forest was a riot of red, orange, and gold. Thomas loved the sound of leaves crunching underfoot, and the sight of Hunter weaving through the tall trees, occasionally startling a resting bird that would take off in a flurry of wing beats. More than just moments of happiness, these walks had also provided Thomas with a sense of serenity. Each step taken on the path was a step away from the stresses and demands of everyday life. The rustling leaves, the calls of distant birds, and the rhythmic tempo of their footsteps on the forest floor created a tranquil symphony that calmed his mind and soul. Watching Hunter romp beneath the canopy of leaves, Thomas felt an overwhelming gratitude for the simple yet profound joys of life. The look of pure delight on Hunter's face, as he discovered new scents and chased unseen creatures, was a reminder of the beauty of living in the moment. Hunter's carefree nature, his unbridled enthusiasm for the little things, had taught Thomas the value of presence and attentiveness, lessons that came in small, almost imperceptible increments during their countless walks. Today, as dappled sunlight filtered through the trees, Thomas was fully present in his serene surroundings, enjoying the familiar yet ever rewarding company of his loyal companion. He thought about how much richer his life had become since Hunter had entered it, transforming mundane daily rituals into treasured memories. The forest walks were more than just exercise. They were shared experiences that fortified their bond and filled Thomas's heart with peace. These woods, with their ancient trees and whispering leaves, had become a sanctuary for Thomas and Hunter. They were a place where time slowed down, where the pressures of the outside world could be left behind, if only for a little while. As Hunter continued his playful explorations, Thomas felt the weight of gratitude settle within him. Despite the challenges and unpredictability of life, he had Hunter by his side, and together they would continue to find solace and joy in these peaceful walks through the woods. As Thomas and Hunter meandered deeper into the woods, the serenity of their shared walk was suddenly interrupted by a rustling noise to their right. Hunter's ears perked up instantly, his keen senses alert to every small disturbance in the otherwise tranquil forest. With a sudden burst of energy, he dashed towards the source of the sound, his nose leading the way. A tiny squirrel had decided to make its presence known, darting across the well-trodden path in front of them. The little creature paused briefly, seemingly calculating the risk of its next move, and then scampered up the trunk of a nearby oak tree. Hunter, enthused by this impromptu game, began to bark excitedly, hopping back and forth at the base of the tree as he stared up into the branches, his tail wagging vigorously. Thomas couldn't help but chuckle at the scene. "Hunter, buddy, it's just a squirrel," he said soothingly, taking a few steps closer to his animated dog. Hunter glanced back at him as if to say, "But isn't this exciting?" Thomas reached out, placing a calming hand on Hunter's head, gently stroking his fur to ease the dog's heightened excitement. The squirrel, now secure on a high branch, peeked down cautiously, twitching its bushy tail. Thomas looked up and admired the little animal, appreciating the daily wonders that nature presented. He couldn't deny that part of him shared Hunter's enthusiasm. After all, it was these small, seemingly mundane encounters that added color to their routine walks. "Come on, Hunter," Thomas coaxed, his tone calm and reassuring. "Let's keep moving." Hunter gave one last hopeful glance up the tree before turning to follow Thomas, the excitement still sparkling in his eyes. Thomas allowed himself a moment of reflection, understanding that Hunter's playful curiosity reminded him of the spirit of adventure in his own heart. As they continued their path, the squirrel watched them until they were out of sight, then resumed its own woodland activities. Thomas marveled at how such an insignificant creature could bring about such joy and amusement. The brief encounter served as a reminder that life was filled with small yet delightful surprises, especially when accompanied by a curious and energetic companion like Hunter. With the incident behind them, Thomas and Hunter moved on in comfortable silence, the only sounds being their footfalls and the occasional whisper of the wind through the leaves. Thomas felt a deep sense of contentment as he watched Hunter trot ahead, once again absorbed in the myriad scents and sights the woods had to offer. As the sun began its slow descent into the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange, pink and purple, Thomas and Hunter started their journey back home. The woods, which had been alive with the sounds of morning birds, now settled into a harmonious evening lull. Each step they took through the familiar trails was accompanied by a comforting crunch of leaves beneath their feet, creating a rhythm to their walk. Hunter, his playful energy spent from the day's adventures, walked closely by Thomas's side. His tongue lolled out happily and his tail wagged lazily, a clear sign of his satisfaction. Every so often, he would sniff at the ground, as if savouring the lingering scents from earlier explorations. The exuberance of the morning had given way to a contented calm in both of them. Thomas, too, felt the day's exertions in his legs, but it was a good kind of tired, a rewarding fatigue that gave his entire being a sense of fulfillment. The sense of peaceful accomplishment was always the best part of these walks. They had ventured deeper into nature than usual this day, taken in more of its beauty, and Hunter had revelled in the freedom and its discoveries. The setting sun bathed the path ahead in a golden glow, making everything around them appear almost ethereal. The tall trees cast long shadows, and the evening breeze carried a coolness that whispered of an impending night. Each step brought them closer to home, yet neither was in a rush. This time spent winding down was as precious as any other part of their journey. As they neared the edge of the woods, the little cottage that they called home came into view. It stood with inviting warmth, windows glowing softly from within. The familiar sight filled Thomas with a gentle sense of contentment. He glanced down at Hunter, who met his gaze with an equally calm and satisfied look, as if the dog, too, was grateful for the day's experiences. Together they crossed the threshold of the woods and made their way up the gravel path. The tranquility of the evening enveloped them, matching the peaceful rhythm of their steps. Tired but satisfied, they moved steadily towards the inviting sanctuary of home, carrying with them the serene fulfillment that only a day well spent in nature can provide. As Thomas and Hunter reached the edge of the woods, their pace gradually slowed. The sun was beginning its descent, casting a warm, golden glow over the treetops. Thomas looked down at Hunter, who was walking alongside him, his tongue lolling out in contentment. The tired yet satisfied demeanor of his faithful companion brought a smile to Thomas's face. As they made their way down the familiar path toward their home, Thomas took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the crisp evening air. He felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over him. These walks with Hunter were more than just a daily routine. They were a cherished ritual that brought both of them immense joy and tranquility. The woods had a way of soothing his mind and putting life into perspective. Thomas's thoughts wandered back to earlier in the day. He remembered how Hunter had bounded playfully from one tree to another, his eyes full of curiosity and wonder. That infectious enthusiasm had a way of reigniting Thomas's own appreciation for the simple pleasures of life. The rustle of leaves underfoot, the distant call of birds, and the rustling of a gentle breeze through the branches. These were the moments that grounded him, reminding him of the beauty of the natural world. As they turned onto the last stretch of their path, the silhouette of their quaint home came into view. The soft glow of the porch light beckoned them inside. Thomas couldn't help but smile as he thought about the comfort and warmth that awaited them. Reaching out, he gently patted Hunter's head, silently thanking him for being the perfect companion on these serene walks. In the quiet moments that followed, Thomas reflected on the bond he shared with Hunter. These walks were a testament to their unspoken understanding and the mutual peace they found in each other's company. They had navigated countless trails together, creating a tapestry of memories woven with endless shades of green, brown, and the occasional splash of vibrant wildflowers. As they stepped through the doorway, the tranquility of the evening enveloped them. Thomas took one last look at the darkening sky, a sense of fulfillment washing over him. He knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, these walks with Hunter would always be a source of solace, a reminder of the simple joys that life had to offer. Walking into the house, he felt a deep sense of contentment, knowing that tomorrow would bring another adventure, another walk, and another chance to appreciate the world around them.